Schwartz is the main one?
No, it'll pop up.
Oh, it just pops up.
It'll be like Miami basketball.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Inside the U live post-game show. We've got a lot to get to today. I want to make sure we're all set up here. We're definitely going to go to the Zooms as soon as we can. Okay, here, Miami lost 71-58. It was the first time they've lost consecutive games all season. There's a lot to get to with this one. Very interesting game without a doubt. Miami shoots 54% from the floor. A little distracted here with the noise here as we wait for Zoom calls. I want to make sure we get questions in here. Miami shoots 54% from the floor. Virginia shoots 60%. It's the first time Miami's given up 60% on the season, so very disappointed from the defensive side. Again, Miami shoots 54%, but has 13 turnovers, which really kind of led to limited possessions. Three-point shooting was a disappointment, 4 of 17, as you can see here. Miami missed his first 10 shots. Just waiting on Jim Larranaga, post-game Zoom. I'm not sure if any players will talk, so this could be a shorter one, but I'm definitely interested and definitely want to talk about this game as we wait for Coach Larranaga. Cam McGusty led Miami in scoring with 21 points. Charlie Moore with 17. So some good signs there. But Isaiah Wong, that's 6 points, 3 of 9. The bench only had a couple buckets late in the game. Not able to build on what they were able to do with Anthony Walker, scoring in double figures last game. Also, another interesting thing, Miami did not shoot a free throw. Virginia only shot 3. And I do want to check out the standings here. It's interesting with Miami dropping their second game of the week. They entered the week in first place in the ACC. They've dropped to 5th here. The standings are not updated quite yet. Duke and North Carolina are playing right now. Definitely check that game out. Notre Dame won again earlier today. So definitely they're a team to watch, and then Wake Forest as well. They're kind of keeping things going. Beating Florida State earlier today. So Miami's going to drop below at 8-4 overall. And it's just a really tight group right there. If North Carolina is able to beat Duke tonight, that would certainly change things as well. Just look at the ACC scoreboard, the out-of-town scoreboard here. Duke's up 15 right now. And I do think, even though Miami beat Duke, I've been saying all along, I do think Duke's the best team in the ACC, but Miami's got to stay in that top group. That top 4 gets you that double bye in the ACC tournament. So they're right there. But certainly they're looking to bounce back from this. Their next game is at home Wednesday against Georgia Tech. They just played Georgia Tech and won. Georgia Tech's at the bottom of the conference. But Miami's going to have to play better. These last couple games, some disappointing things. They're scoring under 70 points, which has not happened much at all. And Virginia slows it down. They don't allow teams to typically score that many points. So this was always going to be one of those difficult games. And I thought Virginia really did a good job with its ball pressure to force Miami into some tough shots at times. But those turnovers really added up. As you can see with McGusty and Moore, 4 turnovers apiece. And Sam Wardenberg had 3. And Sam's a guy that they definitely want to play through at times with their half-court offense. Still waiting for Jim Larranaga to join us on the Zoom calls. He's here right now, actually.
All right, Coach, if you want to start with an opening statement, then we'll go into questions.
Basically, when you play teams in the ACC, they're all very good basketball teams.
Mike Eric.
I'm sorry? Is there someone speaking to me?
Go ahead, Coach. I think it was someone who was unmuted.
All right. When you play in the ACC, every team is a very good team, and especially at home, and teams play very, very well. And Virginia played a very good game tonight. They shot the ball extremely well, not only from 2, but from 3-point range, and we didn't. We were 2 for 12 at halftime, 4 for 17 from the game, and against Virginia, because they pack it in so much, and we're not a post-up team anyway, you got to make threes. And at 4 for 17, it's not very good. if you look overall, we shot 54% from the field because we made our 2-point shots. We just didn't make our threes. And we struggled defensively to keep pressure on them. I thought we did a good job early, but we clearly were not able to defend them the way we would have needed to and force more turnovers. They ended up with 13 turnovers, but we probably needed 17, and we needed to turn the ball over fewer times. We turned it over 13 times as well. Would have been better if we were at 7 or 8.
All right, if you have questions for Coach L, please use the hand raise function. We'll start with Chris Stock from Inside the U.
Coach, can you expand more defensively? The 60%, that's the highest you guys have allowed. I know you switched to zone at times. What were you kind of seeing defensively? What made it tough for you guys today?
Well, I would say Tony Bennett's a hell of a coach. He made some adjustments and was able to carve the scramble defense, got the ball to the high post, to the low post, and they're huge human beings. And we had no answer for those big guys inside. Gardner goes 6 for 9, and Francisco Cafaro goes 4 for 4 right inside the paint, like laying it in. And then you add Cedric goes 3 for 3. So that's 13 for, let me see, whatever it is, 13, 7, 16. 13 for 16 from the field. That's very productive.
Go to Hank Kurz from the Associated Press. Hank, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry, I unmuted myself and muted myself. Good to see you, Coach. So this is a weird year for the ACC. There's one team in the top 25. People are talking about how Virginia needs to almost win out to make the tournament. What kind of perspective can you put on the season and in the year and your perspective on what's going on with the league?
I've said this over and over again. The ACC has so many terrific players who leave early to go to the NBA. Alex, I'm going to quote you. I think it's 92 players have played in the NBA in the last 5 years. Is that correct? Drafted, played?
Something along those lines around that number, Coach.
So when you lose that kind of talent year in and year out over a 5-year period, replenishing your roster becomes challenging. I think what happens is you replenish it fine, but it takes a while for them to learn your system. And once they do, by January, they're a very good basketball team. So I think some of the early season losses in the ACC are due to, transfers and new guys coming in. And you might say, well, don't other leagues have that? Yeah, but they didn't lose 92 NBA guys leading up to that moment.
We'll go now to Luke Cheney from the Miami Hurricane.
Hey, Coach. So your team finished with 13 turnovers today, which I believe is 3.5 turnovers more than your season average. Is there anything that Virginia did specifically that caused these ball security problems?
Yeah, they're a good defensive team. They got very active hands. There were a couple of times when we tried to throw a pass to an open man. They got their hand on it. But, yeah, they had 11 steals. Oh, that's probably a season high for them. Oh, we did not play a great game against a team that played very well at home. And I expect that, they'll keep playing very well at home. They're really finding their rhythm right now. Those guards are really sharing the ball well. I thought Amon Franklin, he went 8 for 16, 3 for 8 from 3, 3 for 3 from the foul line. We went 0 for 0 from the foul line. That kind of is a telltale story of we're not attacking the basket and getting to the foul line like we did earlier in league play.
Go to Andre Fernandez from the Miami Herald.
Hey, coach, having a veteran group like you do, I mean, this is the first time this season you've dropped back-to-back games. Just your confidence that they're going to be able to make these adjustments, like you're saying, to get back to some of the things that were working earlier in the year and turn this around quickly.
Well, I don't think there's anything we have to do differently. The question is, and this is what I've said all along, the regular season is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And so we got out in front like by winning our first 4 conference games at home, but now teams are catching up to us. And every game comes down to do you play well? Do you shoot well? Do you defend well? Do you rebound well? And tonight we didn't handle the ball well enough. Too many turnovers. We didn't rebound the ball well enough, and that's going to happen during the course of a season. I told the players afterwards. I mean, we're not the only one in this position right now. A lot of teams in the league. You drop 1 or 2 in a row, 3 in a row, whatever it might be. You then got to regroup and bounce back and figure out how you can get the next one. And thank goodness we're at home on Wednesday.
Back to Chris Stock.
Coach, the 3-point shooting, what'd you make of that? You guys missed your first 10. Did you like the shot attempts?
I loved it. We went into the game, I think, shooting 40% from 3, the number 1 team in the ACC, and I loved the attempts. Isaiah Wong was wide open. Jordan Miller was wide open. Cam McGusty, Charlie Moore, Sam Wardenberg. They were all open. We were moving the ball very well and finding the open man very well. I was disappointed. I turned to the bench and I said, hey, we're getting great shots. They need to start falling. And unfortunately, what happens in basketball is there's a domino effect. If you start making them, everybody starts making them. If you miss them, a lot of times other guys start missing them as well.
Anything else for Coach O? All right, Coach, thanks for your time.
So that wraps it up there with Coach Larranaga. We're not going to get players afterwards. I'll talk for a little bit about this. I definitely want to read your comments. What do you think of this game? One of the things Coach said about, the first time losing consecutive games, that he's not really concerned about this team moving forward. It's a long season kind of thing. It is going to be interesting to see how they make adjustments as teams are adjusting to them. But I think what we're seeing, I think what we saw tonight was Virginia certainly played well with the home crowd. I've been talking quite a bit about Miami and how well they've played on the road. It is not easy to win on the road. Miami came into the game with the best ACC road record in the conference. So they had been doing well on the road, but it's not easy to win games on the road. It was a tough one today. Energy of the crowd. Virginia starting to get going a little bit. This first time they've won consecutive games, though, since early January, over a month ago. So what kind of went wrong tonight? And I did ask Coach about the 3-point shooting. I was kind of curious what he would make of that. The 4-17, like he said, they've been shooting the ball well. Looking at the stats here, so Miami had made over 4. They're 4 for 17 today. The last time they had done something like that, you can see, was against Duke, January 8th. Since then, they'd made 9 3-pointers, 13, a 7, 11, 8, and 8. So for them to do what they did today was disappointing. And I thought if they could have made those shots early on, I think it could have helped them with the momentum. I thought missing their first 10, they were always kind of chasing the scoreboard quite a bit. And then obviously Virginia was able to make some, and then they get that big 3 there at the half, and Miami goes down by 9 at halftime. So it was just kind of a difficult point there. Miami cuts it to 7 early in the second half. McGusty hits a jumper, cuts it within 7. You're hoping, or what you're trying to see from Miami is if they can kind of just get back into the game, maybe you get a 3-pointer or 2 to drop. Maybe Virginia cools off. But what we were able to see, even though Miami shot 65% in the second half, Virginia shoots 57. Certainly that's just not going to cut it for what Miami needed to do to cut into the lead there. So certainly overall disappointing. Shout out to you guys that are in here. WA is here. Jonathan as well. Yeah, the no depth. I did want to ask Coach about that a little bit as we bring up here. Taking a look at with the bench, and Anthony Walker just plays 12 minutes, takes 1 attempt. He was coming off a 12-point game, so that's disappointing. Bensley Joseph Dangak and Wooga Poplar didn't play much, and they got their buckets late. Just when they're in the game, they're just not providing a lot of production, whatever that might be, particularly points. But as you can see, even a game like this, Miami's starters are playing heavy minutes. We've talked about this all year. It's what's enabled them to do well, but certainly at times you've got to get some minutes from some production off your bench. In particular, I think Anthony Walker's that guy. I think he's the best player off the bench. He's the guy they need. And it was disappointing to see him not be able to bounce back after that 12-point game, just to kind of keep it going at some level. Again, 6 points, 8 points, whatever that might be off the bench, but something. It just wasn't enough, even though he did have the 4 assists, but just a +2 there when he was in there, but just not enough. You're just hoping for a little bit more from him. But not only him, Dangak just doesn't give this team very much, and then Wooga Poplar has just not been in the rotation since he missed games earlier in the stretch. So he's come back. He's not really played a lot. So, and then Bensley Joseph just isn't that scoring type. So they're just not getting a lot from the bench. But another thing I want to mention, Isaiah Wong just can't get it going in this game. He's starting to do this a little bit. And what we're noticing with this team is, as good as Cam McGusty and Isaiah Wong have been, when they drop off with their production in the scoring department, we've seen that. Cam is coming off a season low, 7 points against Notre Dame there on Wednesday. Miami loses that game. It's tough for Miami to withstand if one of these guys is not on. They kind of need both guys hovering around that 15-point mark that they've been averaging all year long, that 15 to 20. And this team needs that because, like Jonathan said, just not enough depth. So just a disappointing loss. Again, Miami's not able to bounce back. I touched on with where Miami's at. We can look back again with the ACC standings. Again, Duke and North Carolina going right now. It's not updated, but Miami drops to 8-4 in the conference, 16-7 now overall. So it's very interesting to see where Miami is. And if anybody watched the show that I did with Evan there, breaking down where Miami is with its analytics, I thought that was very interesting. Some of the things we talked about kind of showed up today. It's going to be very interesting how Miami bounces back in terms of, they got Georgia Tech coming up next, but also how the stretch of games looks moving forward. After that, they got Wake Forest. I've talked about Wake Forest. I like them as a team. I think they're going to be a tough one for Miami to win, even though Miami did well in the first game. Beat them by 8. Miami scores 92 in that game. I just think Wake Forest is kind of getting it going, and I like what they've been able to show lately, and I think it's going to be a tough one. Miami played much better than Wake Forest in that first matchup. So Miami gets Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and then Louisville has really been struggling. Those are the next 3, and then you get Virginia again. So Miami's going to have to figure this one out because they're going to see Virginia again at home. So we'll see how things work there. But definitely drop in the comments. Let me know what you think of this one. Is Miami starting to fade a little bit? Is the rest of the league catching up? Is this just a case of one of these games? What do you think about that? I do think, again, looking ahead to the schedule, Miami doesn't play Duke or North Carolina the rest of the way. I think that's going to help in terms of being able to stack wins. So again, in this one, you see the things that Miami did well. They shot the ball well, but not enough possessions because of the 13 turnovers. And again, looking at the turnovers, Miami 2 games ago had 15 against Georgia Tech, but really they're most of the time, as you can see, they're under 10 most games. And so for you to get 13 turnovers, for Miami to get 13 turnovers, the 11 steals by Virginia were a season high by an opponent. And it just kind of led to some points there. I do want to look at the team comparison here for some other key stats. We're talking about field goal percent quite a bit. Free throw percent, Miami does not shoot an attempt, which was just pretty crazy. You just don't see that very often in a game. But Virginia only shoots 3, so not a huge difference there. Other things that stand out to me, the points in the paint, Miami actually had 40 compared to Virginia's 36. So obviously that's good for Miami, especially with what happened against Notre Dame, that they're able to score some in the paint. But just the 3-point shooting, just not good enough for Miami tonight. But as Jim Larranaga said, he liked the attempts. I think that's a good question. I'm always curious what coaches say, because sometimes it's forced shots. Sometimes you make it harder on yourself by taking poor attempts. but he liked the shot attempts that they put up, even though they missed their first 10. So hopefully, Miami needs that 3-point shot. There's no question about that. So hopefully they get that going again. And maybe some other things that stand out. I just think the turnovers were a big deal. Miami was able to get out and run a little bit, 13 points, fast break points. But really this one came down to Virginia playing well on both sides of the ball. Miami just not able to overcome the turnovers, overcome the shot percent by Virginia. Wasn't able to do anything defensively. Miami typically runs that man-to-man defense, but they switched to a zone, and it just didn't seem to work out. It's just not Miami's main thing they like to do, and they just couldn't disrupt Virginia enough. So it'll be interesting to see how Miami bounces back with the next time they play Virginia in a couple weeks on the 19th. So it's 2 weeks from today. So we will see how that works out. I'm going to wrap this up, a short one tonight. Again, Jim Larranaga talked for a little bit. No players available today, which happens at times on the road. But I do want to thank everybody for jumping on, and for people watching this back. You can always go back and watch Jim Larranaga. I put the timestamps in so you can see if you'd like to just jump to where he's at. But overall, I know Miami's lost, the last 2 games, first time all year. This one didn't look good. I'm not at the point where I'm concerned about this team. I think the schedule does play to their favor. Miami, I'm looking right now, they are favored. Ken Palm ranks them 84% chance of winning against Georgia Tech next game, so that'll be good. Bounce back. Like Coach Larranaga said, it's at home, so that's certainly a good thing. So there are some things to worry about, but I think if Isaiah Wong and Cam McGusty are able to get closer to their averages, I think Miami's going to be fine. But these games where one of them is a little bit off, they get held down a little bit, it makes it really hard for them to win these games. I think that's what we've seen, because there's just not that consistent scoring outside of Charlie Moore with those 3 guys. So, and you see tonight, interesting game from Jordan Miller, the 2 points, but the 7 steals. It's just a very interesting game that he's able to do that. Just one of these guys that just does different things. Just 2 rebounds. Certainly they'd like to get more out of that from a front court player. Okay, I'll wrap this up. Jonathan here. Definitely can't make a nice run later until we get decent performance from the bench. Yeah, no doubt. Especially, Coach Larranaga's talked about the heavy minutes that the starters, that they play each and every night. So bench, other guys need to step up as this goes on. Maybe it's getting to a point where it's just a lot on their top 3 guys, and maybe they're going to wear down, or like Coach Larranaga said, the rest of the league is catching up. Either way, you've got to get some good performances from other guys, because again, you can key on those 2 guys and certainly do your best to take them out. But so we'll see how things go. So definitely want to thank everybody. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank everybody for watching and watching it back. Stay tuned. I'll have more coverage. And if you haven't seen the video with Evan there, it's on the channel. Definitely watch it back. It was not a preview into the Virginia game. It's just kind of with where Miami's at. There are a lot of analytics that he presents. evanmia.com. You could check his website out, but there's a lot there. If you missed it, check that out. We talked if Miami's a tournament team, what needs to go well, who are the key players on this team. I think it might surprise you in terms of his answer there. So definitely check that out. So thanks again for watching. Hopefully everyone has a good rest of the day, and take care.